Hello students and welcome to my channel. Today we will be learning Standard 8 English Balbharati Unit 1 1.1 poem A Time to Believe. A Time to Believe by B.J. Morbitzer. Let's recite the poem A Time to Believe. To believe is to know that every day is a new beginning, is to trust that miracles happen and dreams really do come true. To believe is to see angels dancing among the clouds, to know the wonder of a stardust sky and the wisdom of the man in the moon. To believe is to know the value of a nurturing heart, the innocence of a child's eye, and the beauty of an aging hand. For it is through their teachings we learn to love. To believe is to find the strength and courage that lies within us when it is time to pick up the pieces and begin again. To believe is to know we are never alone, that life is a gift and this is our time to cherish it. To believe is to know that wonderful surprises are just waiting to happen and all our hopes and dreams are within reach if only we believe. Written by B.J. Morbitzer. Now let us have a line-to-line explanation of the poem. So let's focus on the first stanza of the poem. To believe is to know that every day is a new beginning, is to trust that miracle happen and the dreams really do come true. So in the first stanza, the poet begins by explaining to us that we should believe that every day is a new beginning and we should forget whatever has happened in the past. Even the sun rises and the new day brings us new hopes. He further states that we must trust and surrender to our fate and believe that miracles will surely happen and therefore all our dreams, wishes and aspirations will come true. Given below are the figures of speech used in this first stanza. The first line, to believe is to know that. In this line, the figure of speech used here is alliteration because the sound of the letter T is repeated for poetic effect. One more figure of speech is used in this line, that is repetition. The word to has been repeated for poetic effect. Is to trust that miracles happen. In this line, the figure of speech used is alliteration. Here, the sound of the letter T has been repeated for poetic effect. And dreams really come true. The figure of speech used in this line is alliteration. Here, the sound of the letter D has been repeated for poetic effect. Second stanza, to believe is to see angels dancing among the clouds. To know the wonder of a stardust sky. Here stardust means having a magical quality. And the wisdom of the man in the moon. So in the second stanza, the poet takes us into an imaginary world. And he says that to believe is to see the angels dancing among the clouds. When we look at the sky, we are fascinated by the sky during the daytime and during the night time. So during the daytime, we see the patterns among the clouds. And so the poet leads us to imagine that there are angels dancing among the clouds. In other words, the poet wants us to forget all our worries and be happy like the dancing angels. The poet also tells us that just like the night sky that is full of stars that looks magical, as if someone has sprinkled dust of shining stars. So also, we must believe that our life will have a magical turn and all our problems will change to happy moments. The poet also mentions about the wisdom of the man in the moon. When we look at the moon, we sometimes see an image of a person. Now there are numerous traditional stories behind this, and one of them says that there is a wise old man sitting in the moon. So the poet wants us to imagine us to be a wise like that old man believe that everything will be alright. Now the figure of speech used in the lines are: to believe is to see angels dancing among the clouds. Here the figure of speech uses personification because your angels are given the human quality of dancing. Also, it's an repetition because the word to has been repeated for poetic effect. Next line: to know the wonder of the stardust sky. The figure of speech used here is alliteration because the sound of the letter S has been repeated for poetic effect. Next line: and the wisdom of the man in the moon. Alliteration, here the sound of the letter M has been repeated for poetic effect. Also it's a repetition because the word the has been repeated for poetic effect. Let's go to the next stanza. To believe is to know the value of nurturing heart. Here nurturing, it means to provide care or to protect. The innocence of child's eyes and the beauty of an aging hand. Here aging, it means the process of growing old. For it is through their teachings we learn to love. So in the third stanza, the poet explains the importance of nurturing. Nurturing means caring. So the people around us, like our parents, our teachers and our guardians, these are the people who nurture us, who protect and they care for us. So the poet tells us that we should believe and value everything that they tell us, because it is through their love and vast experience that they give us their advice. Just like the little child is so innocent that it believes everything that is told without raising any questions, so also we should surrender ourselves to our elders. The poet mentions about the beauty in the aging hands. He wants to say that the old people are so beautiful and they are so caring and loving. They have abundant store of knowledge and wisdom which they have acquired through years of hard work. So we should listen to them, as through their teachings we can learn to love one another. The figures of speech here used in these lines are: first one, to believe is to know the value of nurturing heart. The figure of speech used here is epigram because it is a brief statement which is made about the topic of the poem. Next one, the innocence of child's eye. The figure of speech used here is imagery. The poet uses descriptive imagery to make the poem most appealing for the readers. The next line is, and the beauty of an aging hand. Figure of speech used here is alliteration. The sound of the letter A has been repeated for poetic effect. Fourth stanza, to believe is to find the strength and courage that lies within us when it is time to pick up the pieces and begin again. Here, to pick up pieces, it means to start all over again. So the poet tells us to believe, it means to find the strength and courage, motivation and inspiration that is present in each one of us. It means that we all are brave and courageous and we do not require any outside help. We can draw the strength from within us. The poet also states that whenever we may fall, that is, whenever we may encounter a failure, we must just dust ourselves, get up and continue our normal life. We should not lose hope but begin all over again. The proverb try till you succeed comes to the mind when we read this stanza. Let us see the figure of speech used in this stanza. To believe is to find the strength. Your figure of speech uses repetition because the word to has been repeated for poetic effect. When it is time to pick up the pieces and begin again, it's an alliteration because sounds of the letter T, P and A has been repeated for poetic effect. Next stanza, to believe is to know we are never alone, that life is a gift and this is our time to cherish it. The poet continues explaining that to believe is to know that we are never alone. Whenever we encounter failure, we may want to know why this thing happened to me. But the poet tells us to remember that we are not alone in facing the failure. There are many people like us who have not been able to be successful. Failure is a stepping stone to success. He tells us that our life does not belong to us, but it is a gift from God to us. So we do not have any right over it. Since it is a gift given to us, we should cherish it and take good care of it. Cherish it means we have to take a proper care of it. For like a gift we receive, our life is also a gift given with love by the God Almighty. Now let us see the figure of speech used in these lines. To believe is to know. Repetition. The word to has been repeated for poetic effect. Next one is we are never alone. It's an epigram because a brief and a witty statement is made about the topic. To believe is to know that wonderful surprises are just waiting to happen, and all our hopes and dreams are within reach if only we believe. So in the sixth, that is the final stanza, the poet B.J. Morbitzer tells us that we should believe that wonderful surprises are waiting around the corner. We know that life is full of surprises, but nobody knows what awaits us next. So the poet tells us all our hopes, our dreams, our wishes, and all our desires will surely come true. He leaves us with a thoughtful note in the last line saying, if we only believe. That is, he says that we should have the strong willpower to believe in our dreams and also wish that they will surely come true. Now let us see the figure of speech used in these lines. That wonderful surprises are just waiting to happen. Alliteration, because sound of the letter W has been repeated for poetic effect. Next line, and all our hopes and dreams are within reach. Alliteration, here sound of the letter A has been repeated for poetic effect. So student, this is the end of the poem, A Time to Believe. I hope everyone understood the poem well. Thank you students.